Can having a hobby actually help you during holiday stress? I think it can. I'm going to share with you why hobbies work, but also 5 other tips that really help me during the holiday season managing stress. We're going to build all of these different Lego sets together, give you some thoughts about those also. So stick around, lots to do. Come on, build with me. So the holidays are here and it's stressful automatically. No matter how you try to do it, there's things that are required of everyone during the holiday season, whether you're planning it or just attending things. But you have to get ready and there's always lots going on. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how hobbies like the one that we do together can really help, but some other things as well. So we're going to work on 5 different sets. You see them over here, and they're all holiday themed for 2024. Really fun. So we've got some cookies, we've got some gingerbread men, we've got our table centerpiece new for this year. There's also a promotional train, as well as the mail truck that goes along with Santa's post office that we just reviewed earlier. So I'll put the link at the end of that. So lots going on. So for every build, probably talk a little bit about the build itself, but for sure share a couple of those tips along the way as well. So you ready? Okay, let's get started. Well, this model is giving me a little stress. I'm kidding. It's fun to put together, but there's some tricky parts. So my first tip that I remember for myself, and I wish I'd learned this a long time ago, is to set realistic expectations. And why that happens? Well, there's a lot of pressure to create, for yourself this perfect holiday, and for other people if you're responsible for that, and just to try to level it up all the time. That can really be very draining. So it also can lead to disappointment, and social media certainly doesn't help, right? We see perfect everything all the time. So realistic expectations can help you by making you focus on the stuff that you really care about and choosing a couple of things that really matter, whether it's getting a chance to get that favorite ornament on the tree if you decorate a tree. It's that chance to have do you get that one thing that you really love during the meal? Does that happen for you? Those are more realistic expectations than the fact that everyone is going to have the most amazing Christmas ever or holiday celebration ever. Does that make sense? So I like to focus on the realistic things that I know can happen and that I can have influence over. And then I take some of the stress out of worrying about all of it coming together so perfectly. I don't know, it works for me. So my second holiday stress tip is that I take mini breaks, just small ones. And as much as I love the holidays and being with everybody and doing everything, that nonstop activity can really leave you feeling a little frazzled. Maybe you can relate to that. So I take small little breaks whenever I can. Not big ones. I don't mean like getting in the car and driving off. I just mean taking those few moments. So sometimes it can be as simple as just closing your eyes and taking a few breaths, not looking at social media while you're away, to try to just get a moment for yourself. Maybe read an article, do something quick. It doesn't have to be a lot, but that idea of giving yourself your brain a chance to reset and recharge for a minute is a great way to deal with some of the stress. It certainly works for me. So my third thing that I do to reduce stress during the holidays is I try to plan ahead. Now that sounds really simple and straightforward, and how can that be a secret tip? I think of it like this. These days, when you can do everything instantly, it feels like, including shopping immediately and overnight and next day, etc., some of the urgency around some of the traditional holiday things kind of goes away. As long as you get things done by a certain date, you're going to be fine. But I find for me what happens is that tends to then sneak up, and suddenly I'm doing everything all at once, and I have a giant to-do list. So for me, it's just prioritizing and doing things ahead of time that I can do, and that helps reduce anxiety like you wouldn't believe. It makes me think of that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Do a little bit every day of your tasks, things over the holidays that you're going to be responsible for, and you're going to feel like that much farther ahead. It certainly works for me. So that's my tip. My fourth tip for helping with stress during the holidays is something I really wish I learned a long time ago, and I was really glad to learn it, and that is you have to say no sometimes. It seems very counterintuitive at the holiday season, where we're celebrating goodwill and great sentiment, and it feels like you're going to have to try to do everything all the time. But what can happen is when you start saying yes to too many things, whether it's too many parties or too many favors or too many ways you're going to try to help other people, it can overload, and it can actually lead to a little bit of resentment for the holiday in general, in extreme cases, of course. So it's very healthy to say no to not having to participate in everything. And that's not always easy. You're not always in control of the celebration. As a younger person particularly, you have to do what your family wants to do. But even as we grow up, you can take some of that control back. And some of the things I do, if I can't say no outright, like I'm not available or I can't do everything, I like to reframe it. So, I love to bake things. So if someone needs something done, I'll be like, well, let me bring a pie. But if you're not good at that, then how about, well, you know what, I can't bring dessert for you, but like, let me make a playlist. So you can still be helpful, but do things on your terms, and it will make things so much easier, and you'll actually have a lot more fun. It will really reduce the stress, and what you're offering can still be really welcome. All right, so tip number 5 for me, the way that I reduce stress during the holidays is, again, it's kind of a reframing. It's that idea of focusing on connections. Focus on connections with people and the loved ones that in your life, whether they're close by or over the phone, or on a video chat, instead of focusing on everything else. So, often we are sort of told that the holidays are really about, go big or go home and make a big splash and the better than ever this year, et cetera, and outdoing ourselves and grand gestures. But that's not really the things that we remember the most when we look back usually, or the things that we miss when we look back and someone's not around. It's those moments that we cherish the most. So if you focus on those, that you're going to have, we're going to play that game that we always play as a family, or I'm going to just have I get those 2 hours sitting wrapping presents with mom in the dining room. Those moments are the ones that, if you want to focus on, they're going to give you more joy, and they're going to help you reduce the anxiety and stress about making everything else perfect. Because perfection isn't possible, but those connections with people can be. So that's my tip number 5. All right, so let's talk about the final question, which is, can a hobby help you reduce stress during the holidays? And I guess you can guess the answer is going to be yes. But here's some reasons why. The number one thing is that it can actually help you feel productive at a time when it can be really chaotic. So that feeling of productivity can give you a feeling of accomplishment, and that goes a long way to reducing stress. It really boosts those positive feelings that you have about yourself. The other thing is that if you have a hobby, it could be building Lego, it can be anything, but hopefully it's Lego, you're doing something familiar, and that's also important. So the holidays are when we get out of our routine and everything is new and different and exciting all the time. So being able to center yourself back to something that feels routine to you is really important, and that really can help. It also can feel like a little escape from what's going on. So that's the third reason. So a hobby can help you feel productive, it can be calming, and it can provide a break or a little escape. So I think for those reasons alone, having a hobby is great anytime, not just at the holidays. So whether you're just building something small or if you're just taking time for yourself, any kind of little break from the routine can really help during the holiday season and really help with stress. I hope these tips work for me. I hope some of them work for you as well. I'd love to know what kind of hobbies that you have actually that help you take yourself out of it and get a little bit of a stress break as well. We had fun today. As always, my favorite part of doing this is building with you. So I can't wait for you to come back and build with me again sometime. All right? You got this. I better clean up.